Hello and welcome. So for this video, I'm going to be swatching all of the new colors in the Colourpop blotted lip line, and it's kind of exciting because this is the first time I've done a swatch video, and I'm trying my best, learning as we go here. But I have really loved the Glossier Generation G lipstick, and then I've kind of been very swayed by other blotted lip, sheer matte lip colors, matte lip tint sort of items out on the market, and this is a line that's it both intrigued me, and the colors were pretty interesting, and it's also within my budget to actually try and swatch the whole line. So I thought this would be fun to do. I do quite like these products, but let me just try and get through trying them all on, talking about the colors, and we'll talk a little bit about the formulation at the end. And these retail for $7 each, and I will just go ahead and start trying on this shade Otter. So there it is, pretty light neutral-ish pink. I say neutral because maybe it's a hint cool. Most of this line leans very warm. I would say this color is the lightest shade, and I think it's pretty flattering. I will say, I think a lot of the shades, maybe I shouldn't be wiping my lips off in the video. Whatever. I will say I think a lot of the shades are quite light leaning. So now this is the shade Super Mellow, and I like this one a lot. This one has like a tinge more of that kind of brownie tone. Yeah. Next we have the shade Feliz. This one is much peachier, warmer, and it's not super as in my wheelhouse anymore as it was before, but still a very flattering color. And so just for reference, my lips are like a little chapped right now, especially because I'm just, I'm swatching over and over, but I think these are holding up very well as far as not super emphasizing the state of my lips. And this shade is on film, and these ones are now starting to get in the deeper-ish tones. So that's a pretty, I guess almost bricky color. All right, and then next I have the shade Missin. This shade is one of the finickiest. I feel like it's quite patchy and hard to build up. Not that these build up to a very intense pigment. I feel like there's only a very mid blurred layer that you can get with it, but this one in particular has a little bit more translucency to it, which I don't necessarily mind. But as I kind of spread the product back and forth on my lips, I can see that it sometimes will pick up a little bit, and it's even harder than the rest to get a straight line around the edge of my lips. It could be because a couple of these bullets, as par for the course with Colourpop, it came a little smudged in the lid, so the bullet is a little misshapen. But I think more so the formula feels a little bit different. And then this color in particular, I thought was going to be quite similar to the last color, which I believe was On Film, a kind of bricky color. But On Film is a much more like brownie, whereas this color Missin is, despite being kind of similar in the tube, it's much pinkier. Like this looks quite a bit brighter in my perspective. And then, okay, so next, this is the shade Talker. And this is the one that I could see like the majority of people wanting to grab this sort of shade. It's just like a very neutral, rosy, my lips but better tone. It does lean like a little bit purple on me, I feel like. But I feel like it's very flattering. It's not gonna be too light for most skin tones. So this is the shade Shook. Again, this color is much more bright and like purpley than I thought it would be. From the tube, I thought it would be more of like a wine burgundy color, but this is just like a straight up very bright berry on me. I don't think it's bad, but it's just a bit, I think it looks nice right now, but it is a bit much, and I think it is at the very least quite misleading to what someone might think it looks like when shopping online. And then finally I have the shade Melty, which is quite brown, and this bullet was like the most messed up when I first got it. Not a big deal though, because this formula is pretty easy to work around. Ooh, I do feel like, I don't know, maybe the fact that the bullet is misshapen is making my life harder. But as you can see, this is definitely the patchiest shade. It's catching kind of weird. I do kind of find, it's the most noticeable with this shade, but I will find that it can kind of apply a little patchy from the bullet at first, but usually when I blot out my lips, it'll kind of end up blending together into a pretty flattering state. Right, so there are all the colors swatched, and the color I just put on Melty is the most finicky for me in terms of being a bit patchy going on and kind of catching the most and being the most notable when it catches on my dry spots. And I think that's mostly just because of the contrast in that this shade is a bit deeper than my natural lip pigment, so it's pretty noticeable. But you know, I feel like I was able to run my fingers around it, clean up the edges, and kind of make it work. It doesn't look bad. In any case, getting on to details on the formula, I like this about as much as I thought I would, which I expected to like it. It seemed very up my alley. For $7, I think this is a very good price. The only things that are like kind of cons are that with Colourpop, I think your packaging / quality control can be a little bit inconsistent. So like 3 out of the 8 bullets I have here are came a bit misshapen and like, you know, smudged into the lid, which is a little bit inconvenient, especially because I don't know if this is just like an anecdotal correlation, but the shades that I have where the bullets are a little bit off are also the ones that are like don't perform as well. That doesn't really make sense, but it is what it is. And then on top of that, the scent is quite strong. It's got a very like lip smackers, fruity, nostalgic scent. It really reminds me of like drugstore as a preteen, so you know, could be fun. I think these colors are actually very surprisingly pretty on me, so that's nice. That being said, I think the first 4 shades are very catered towards light skin tones. I think that if you're like medium or if you have very naturally pigmented lips, they won't look like much. Like for example, the lightest shade I don't think looks like anything much on my lips. It just kind of gives everything a bit of a even kind of pale pigment, and if you had really pigmented lips, I feel like the first few shades here would just kind of all do the same thing for you, but like maybe give you a tint of pink, brown, like orange instead of on top of just being kind of paler than your lip. But the thing is, I think with like the blotted sheer lip, I think it should be a formula that is very flexible. Like I feel like Glossier does a much better job with their shade range, and then that like each one of them I think really pulls its weight in being pretty distinct, and I think would look good on a lot of different lip, like natural lip tone colors. But nevertheless, I think within this line there is definitely something that I think will be flattering for anyone. For me, my favorites are definitely Talker and not Otter, Super Mellow. So Talker was that kind of mid-tone rosy color that I think would flatter a lot of people and probably be very like familiar to a lot of people, just in this kind of more like blotted, blurred formula. And then the Super Mellow shade was the second shade I put on, and it just is like a My Lips but better, but also a little bit like brown, which is something that I like a lot. So those personally speak to me, but I think all the shades, especially some of the ones that I thought I wouldn't like, just look pretty nice. Especially, for example, Missin You. This is the one that like is like surprisingly strawberry red. Just pretty flattering. And then I do think that they can, while they let your like, they have a sheerness and translucency to them that I really like, and I feel like makes your whole makeup look not as makeup-y. They can be pretty bold and bright and impactful, especially some of the like last 5-ish shades that I swatched. So that's really fun. I think that yeah, I'm pretty happy with this line. I will probably do a more in-depth comparison on like which shade lines up with what from the Generation G line. And then in general, I think that the formula is much more comparable to the NARS Soft Matte Tinted Lip Balm. The Glossier Generation G has more of like a waxy grip as you apply it to your lips, and doesn't have as much slip. Whereas both the Colourpop and the NARS ones, I feel like have more of that silicone-y feel as you spread it around and then like press your lips together. And it feels a little bit more like plush and blurred, whereas the Glossier one feels a little bit more like nothing on my lips. So that's interesting. In terms of how it holds up over like, I think the formula is very, very forgiving, and that's like one of my favorite things about this kind of blotted, blurred, sheer lipstick formula. It is super easy to slap on. This would be the perfect like put in your purse kind of lipstick. I usually struggle a lot with putting on lipstick in just the viewfinder, but I felt like it was fine with this formula because it was very easy to just like mostly outline and then like press my lips together and it looks fine. So very happy with that. I think that it does a good job of, despite my lips being not in very good condition for this video, kind of looking still blurred and like pretty from a distance. It's not drying on my lips. but it's also not adding any hydration at all. I could see it after like a few hours of wear feeling drying, but personally I would just put lip balm on over it. This will definitely rub off. Like if you're wearing a mask, it'll rub off all up on the inside of the mask. So definitely keep that in mind as it's getting, you know, it's been relevant. And then finally, I just wanted to show that I did like swatch this all on my wrist. Not that well, but you know, it's a learning process, okay? So from top to bottom, this is Otter, and this is also in the same order that I swatched it on my lips. Otter, super mellow, loves Feliz on film, Missing You, Talker, Shook, and Melty. And I just wanted to show that like some of them definitely do look very similar in the bullet. Some of them look pretty similar, like even on the back of my hand. So you definitely don't need all of them. And yeah, even putting them on, some of them look pretty similar. So keep that in mind. And with that, my overview for now is concluded, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll probably compare this to some other products in the incoming future, so stay tuned and thank you for watching.